Hey everybody, this is Kennedy Hawk from the MCM team. For today's Tier List Tuesday number 4, we're going to be looking at each hero and the aspect I think they pair best with. So we're going to be thinking about strength of the deck of that hero when paired with that aspect, the thematics of that aspect, and the fun level of the best decks I've seen with those pairings. So, here we go. We have our tier maker tier list all ready to go, and we are going to be putting at heroes into the just with S tier, Justice, Aggression tier, the B tier, the Protection tier, or the Leadership tier. Yeah, I know, I'm super funny. The B tier is there for heroes that I cannot decide what their best aspect is. Or, let's knock one off right off the bat. People like Adam Warlock, who actually use all 4 aspects, because we don't have to make a decision about them. But let's get things underway and start looking at characters within their best aspect. So SpiderMan is a really good character in all 4 aspects. I think he really likes justice and aggression because they shore up weaknesses for him. But I think his best 2 decks, his most fun decks, are in leadership and protection. And I'm going to go with protection because I think Spidey thematically protects his turf and his friends and his family. I think he's a really good protection character, synergy-wise, and I think it can be just a non-stop fun deck to play in multiplayer when you're defending for 3 to 4 characters a turn, which is amazing. So Spidey, best aspect in my opinion right now, with all the cards released through Mad Titan's Shadow and Nebula, protection. Alright, let's keep going through with the core set. And for Iron Man, I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit weird here. I think Iron Man is best with leadership. I think that having allies that can thwart for him, cheap allies that can thwart for him while he's flipped down, while he builds his suit, is really, really powerful. There's a lot of tech upgrades within leadership that can help you accelerate your game plan a little bit. And all in all, it's just a really good aspect for him. Synergy-wise, once he's up and running, it's not as big of a deal, but it can get a lot of cards out of your deck, so you can thin things for Repulsor Blast and stuff like that. So I'm going to go Iron Man leadership. Alright, who else is from the Marvel Champions core set? We've got She-Hulk, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel here. Captain Marvel, we're going to put with Justice. I think Captain Marvel, Justice, Leadership, Protection, and Aggression are all really, really strong decks. But I think the quality of energy, resource cards, and Justice puts her up top there. That's a little bit of ancient thinking. Back when we only had 2 or 3 packs out, you kind of really had to know like which packs had the best cards for which type. And Justice's like inherent type is mental, right? Not energy, but some of the energy cards in Justice are just bonkers good. She's got 2 thwart, so she can synergize with it well. And her thwart card isn't the greatest in the world, so I mean it's not a bad card by any means, but it's not an outstanding card. So this kind of helps shore up a little bit of weakness, which I think is good. And Captain Marvel has a reason to flip, so I'm really happy with Captain Marvel in Justice. Alright. Well, we gotta put somebody in aggression. I'm gonna go ahead and put She-Hulk in aggression. I think She-Hulk aggression can be a really fun rush deck. And in the current meta, both Mad Titan Shadow and Galaxy's Most Wanted rush decks are very, very successful. Especially with the high threat thresholds we have in Mad Titan Shadow. She-Hulk aggression can just go bonkers crazy and burn through things really, really fast, especially in standard mode. Bug and Energy Spear added a lot to She-Hulk, even though it doesn't seem like it did. Just once you can get those 2 down, and they're pretty cheap to get down, all of a sudden you can be swinging for 6 a turn without even doing anything, and then you play out the rest of your hand. And when She-Hulk gets into that mode, she is just crazy. Alright, I would almost put Justice there because I think it shores up her weakness, and thematically it works really well. But I think both Aggression and Justice work thematically well for She-Hulk. Alright, who have we left off here? Black Panther. Black Panther is going to be our protection friend. There are too many good 2-cost cards in protection. Black Panther's kit is very self-sufficient at its own. Once you get the armor piece out you want, you can thwart, you can heal, you can deal damage, you can deal AoE. The one thing you can't do with this kit is defend. That inherent healing in Hero really makes him powerful in protection, but also his Retaliate, his ability to summon upgrades with Shuri like Energy Barrier just puts him that much further on top. I would almost say leadership for him. He's also been a leader of the comics, but we're going to call him the protector of Wakanda and put Black Panther in protection. All right, where did I go next in my notes? It looks like I skipped all over, and I jumped to the box characters first. So we're going to go ahead and throw Hawkeye in aggression. I think Hawkeye is really good in aggression, justice, and leadership. Lacks a little bit in protection. Definitely wouldn't put him there if I could choose. But in aggression, he's just nonstop. He's definitely a role player. He's a minion handler. He is a villain to the facer. But when he is set up and rocking and rolling in aggression, he's doing 12 to 13 a turn and not getting in anyone's way. And that's an optimal Hawkeye to me. SpiderWoman. All right, I am going to put SpiderWoman in justice. The reason I do that is I think all the SpiderWoman decks I've been running recently have some half of it, obviously, is justice. And the reason for that is a lot of leadership cards are a little bit too expensive to synergize with Jessica's hero ability. At the same time, protection cards, since a lot of them are played during the villain phase, you don't get as much use out of that stat bonus. So it was down to aggression and justice, and I think clear the area and justice just sets SpiderWoman tiny bit ahead. And now that we have one way or another as well, we've got some real cheap justice cards that add to card draw that really let you roll through SpiderWoman's deck in a powerful way. So we've got our two ally pairs up there, Captain Marvel and SpiderWoman, hanging out in justice. All right. We're going to go with Groot next, and I think Groot is another character that really thrives in justice. I think he can do a lot of defending and limit how much threat is on the main scheme, and he can use justice just to do a little bit of threat control. He's got enough damage within his kit, and he really wants to flip, which justice is kind of mandatory for. Thematically, I think Groot works in everything except leadership, and even then I would say he's leading the charge into battle. But mechanically wise, I think Groot really needs that flip allowance that justice gives you. On to Rocket. I have Rocket as aggression, so he's one of the first heroes we're pairing with the aspect they came with. I guess SpiderWoman as well. I have Rocket aggression. You want that overkill. You want those relentless assaults and those hand cannons. They're what makes Rocket function. You don't need to flip with Rocket when you're playing aggression because you're murdering things off the board before they become a problem. I think he can work really well in leadership and justice as well, less so in protection. But I think aggression is where he just up and away steals the show. All right, our last box character, Spectrum. I am not going to put her in leadership because I don't think she does anything in leadership particularly well. She doesn't do anything poor. When you combine two really good things, you usually get a really good thing out. I'm going to go ahead and put her in justice. I think the ability of starting at 3 thwart in hero form without having to do anything is pretty amazing. On top of that, Justice's big problem is it can't defend well, it can't deal damage well, and Spectrum can do all three while still excelling within Justice, which is something I don't think any other character can truly do. So I think Spectrum ends up in Justice. All right, back to release order, because why not? I'm going to put Captain America in leadership. Captain America is almost someone that goes in B tier, where I just can't decide. And you know what? We're going to save him. We're going to put him in B tier. You know what? I'm changing it. My notes, I'm scribbling them out right now. Captain America has a build that is fun, thematic, and pretty much perfect in every aspect. He's got advantages to all these aspects in his kit. He doesn't have any strong weaknesses that an aspect has to make up for between shield block and between heroic strike and between fearless determination. I think that's the name of the card. And his ally reduction, he works with everything. And all characters work with everything. Let's be real here. But I'm trying to think of what they're the best at. And I can't pick an aspect that Captain America is better at than someone else. So if you have a strong opinion about that, put it in the comments below. Link your deck list. I want to try it out so that I can understand why Captain America is best in the aspect you're telling me he is. All right. Kamala. Kamala is going to be best in Justice. The crazy shenanigans you can do in Justice, Kamala Khan at this point, Miss Marvel, is frankly magnificent. It's next to none. Very few people can do what Kamala can do with her event bouncing, and Justice has some of the most potent events. It's got damage and thwarting events at this point. It's even got card summoning and side scheme summoning events. Kamala Justice is by and large, her top tier deck. All right, Thor. Where do you think he's going to go? Right there in aggression. I think Thor has fun decks in all the aspects, but I think it's fairly obvious to everyone that the minion handling guy wants to be in aggression, and Thor is no exception. He wants those extra minion summons. He wants the extra excess damage and all those kickers that deal with excess damage. This is just, it's where he belongs. All right, Black Widow is going to go in protection. I think Black Widow's best deck is honestly in protection, especially for multiplayer. You can set something up just like Spider-Man, where you block for multiple people a turn and control several other things in the villain phase, whether it's blowing up minions as they come out, or stunning minions as they come out, or dealing with all sorts of other things. She has a pretty low health pool for a protection player, but she can get to a really high protection stat, which I think makes up for it. Moving on, Doctor Strange. I'm going to put him in leadership. I think not much beats that getting 3 allies out turn 1 and giving them all tough. And he needs to be in leadership. He's great at everything. Nothing is going to hold Doctor Strange back, but leadership is going to push him to the next level. Hulk. Another character that I think really needs leadership or justice to survive. I mean, you can play aggression and protection Hulk decks all day. You'd think that that would be natural with his 3 attack and 3 defense, but they just don't do enough to shore up his weakness of not being able to thwart, especially in solo, but even in multiplayer. You're just tanking it for the team. So I really think Hulk with leadership and strength in numbers is the optimal way to play Hulk right now. I hope we get to the point where it's not. But in expert mode, in multiplayer, and in solo, I think Hulk Leadership and Hulk Justice are the number 2 and number 1 decks for Hulk. And right now, I've been playing a lot of Hulk Leadership. All right, we are into the AntMan wave. AntMan is going to go in aggression. It's a toss-up for me between aggression and justice with him. I think he's got good combinations in both. I don't think he needs the healing for protection. And I don't think he has anything in particular that synergizes with leadership beyond having a signature ally. So there's no reason to put him there, even though that was like his precon kit. I think he is great in aggression, and he can really handle the threat, but then also let the aggression card shine. Next up is Wasp. So I would put Wasp in aggression. The hand cannon excess damage build has been a lot of fun. It seems very thematic for Wasp to be swinging around, shooting sparks at things and blowing them up. But with the emergence of one way or another, I think I'm going to put Wasp into Justice. I think having that card that lets you summon a side scheme, give yourself 3 cards, and then defeat it is now going to enable Wasp's tiny form, which we did not have before. So I think that's a huge deal. We now can enable her tiny form to do the things it wants to do and still use her giant form for goodness. So Wasp, for me, is a Justice top-tier hero. All right. We've got Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch left from this wave. I am going to put Quicksilver in protection. I know Quicksilver has amazing decks in every aspect. He can basically use the stat buff of the first 3 aspects, and with leadership, he can use morale boost, and he can just go bonkers. I would put him in aggression for synergy with Bug, but I think when you're looking for protection heroes, you want someone that gets that advantage of defending. And even though he can only get to 2 defense in his kit, having that free ready after defending is really going to give you incentive to defend over and over and over again, which a lot of heroes don't have. They have to be very cautious with when they use their defense. So I think that puts Quicksilver 1 step ahead. All right, Wanda is going to go in leadership. I think she's got enough threat, enough status conditions, and enough damage within her kit. And then she's got cards that let her play big, fatty allies for free, and that makes Wanda a perfect leadership character. I don't have any question in my mind that Wanda leadership is probably one of the strongest decks out there. There hasn't been a lot of people playing it, which is kind of surprising to me, so that might be something I have to further explore. All right, and we are into the Guardians wave. Let's see here. Star-Lord is also going to go in leadership. I think that's where he belongs. I think his Blaze of Glory, Avenger, Guardian, Assemble deck is just too strong to ignore, and that is going to put him in the leadership category. Likewise, here is Gamora, who is definitely not going to go in leadership. I'm actually going to put Gamora in protection. I think protection now has enough attack events that it can be useful to Gamora, but you can really get the most out of her deck building ability, which lets you grab attack and thwart events from other aspects. You could say that that is even more true in leadership, but she has absolutely no synergy, basically, with leadership. So I think putting her in protection is pretty good. Um, you know, theme. I'm a liar. I'm going to move her to aggression. She is the deadliest woman in the universe, and the deadliest woman in the universe doesn't protect things. It shoots guns and swords at things. So she belongs in aggression. I think justice, aggression, and protection, you can't go wrong with Gamora, but for theme, we're going to pump her up to the red. All right, on to Drax. So I really think Drax belongs in protection, just like his precon says. And I'm being very boring in the Guardians wave. Everyone has been in their aspect so far, so how lovely. I think you want to be able to face tank those couple hits. I would almost put him in leadership because I think he has a really interesting leadership build where to start the game he defends for his allies and he builds them all up, and then he lets his allies go and starts blocking with them once he's in his final form with his like super huge attack. But I think protection or aggression are really the ways to go with him to optimize his high attack and his countering abilities. And then on to Venom. So Venom's a little weird. You'd think you would choose something that has a lot of weapons because Venom has all the abilities to use these weapons over and over again. One of my biggest complaints about Venom is that he has 3 restricted slots, which is great. But then he has 3 restricted items within his 15 cards. So it really doesn't change your deck building, like what restricted items I can get out. There's a leadership weapon that's not restricted, so maybe that does. Ultimately, I think he's really good in protection. I think Grasping Tendrils is like a cheaper form of Webbed Up. It does basically what we want it to do. And it just makes him like a really good multiplayer protection character. He is the lethal protector. He will stop whatever is coming at your face, and probably turn it on its head. And we're on to Nebula. I really think Nebula belongs in aggression. I think this is because Nebula can do a lot of damage, but her damage is very variable. And if you end up not drawing into your damage at the right time, it can really set you back with Nebula. You can end up with a ton of minions out, and I think adding some aggression events to take care of minions or to like push you a little bit to hit the villain can really push Nebula to the next level. And there you have it. I'm leaving Captain America in B tier. I'm not gonna. Cap is Cap, and he is an all-arounder, and he is exactly where he belongs for today. Maybe we'll get some cards that will push Captain in a certain direction in the future, but for now, this is what I have for each hero paired with their best or most important aspect, both strength, theme, and fun. So, hope you enjoy this Tier List Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow for a Workout Wednesday with another gameplay video. Thanks for tuning in.